Oh my god, guys. Promised Neverland is so good. So good. Okay, so let me just preface this a tiny bit for my own sake. I heard about The Promised Neverland maybe a year ago? I don't know the exact time. But I heard about it, and I didn't hear any major details about it. All I had heard was that it was about a bunch of orphans, and that maybe there was something weird going on with it. And it didn't really click in my head that I was interested in it or whatever. I didn't think anything bad about it, and not like I couldn't because there was nothing that I knew about it. So, but I didn't really, I pushed it off to the side and I said, maybe one day. I don't know. I just watched the first 2 episodes of the Promised Neverland anime, and holy crap, is it good. 2 episodes in and I'm hooked. Before I go any further, I don't want to spoil anybody. If you have not watched the first 2 episodes, leave now. Get out and watch them because they are fantastic, because I'm going to be talking about them and it's crazy. Okay, so the story follows Emma, Norman, and Ray, I believe their names are. The 3 kids, they're like the 3 older kids in the orphanage, and they kind of help run the place with this, like, woman that they all call Mom. And apparently this orphanage raises kids from, like, very young ages, like baby age, up to around 12-ish. And sometimes they get, they find foster parents prior to that, but it's usually the oldest you can get is 12 years old, give or take. Now, I knew right from the beginning that there would be something weird going on. All the kids have, like, numbers on them, like they're prisoners, and they all dress the same, and something was weird to begin with. That was not even, like, a secret. What the weird thing was blew my mind. I had no idea that this was that kind of series, and I honestly thought it was going to be much more mundane than it seems to actually be. On top of that, the series really jumps into this, like, quickly, right off the bat. There's not too much time, at the very least for the anime, that they spend just, like, setting up normalcy. I mean, when I say that, though, I don't mean that it feels rushed. It feels like the right amount of time, and then they start getting into the weird stuff. All the kids love the woman that takes care of them in this house. They're not supposed to stray too far away from the house and the land that they live on. And there's fencing, and there's a kind of a building structure gateway that, like, they're not supposed to go near and whatever. And you're like, to some degree, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe she's just trying to make sure that they're safe. And fair enough. But that's not what that is. So normalcy is set up, and they're just all kind of happy kids living with this woman. And then one day, this little girl, Connie, with her stuffed little bunny rabbit, that she gets adopted. And everybody's sad, and the whole thing is that, like, nobody wants to leave because they're just all so happy. That's like a sad thing. Oh, she's leaving, but you know what? She found a family, and that's good for her. However, at the end of the first episode, you learn a very dark secret about Mom. I don't remember if she got a proper name. I think it's like Isabella or Isabella or Isabel or Elizabeth or something to that effect. But you learn a very dark secret about her. So she takes Connie off to be adopted by this foster family, and Connie leaves her stuffed rabbit behind. So Emma, being the nice kind of older sister figure, decides, hey, I'm going to go catch up to them and give this bunny rabbit to them. She ends up going with Norman, though, because they're not supposed to go to the gate. They're not supposed to go anywhere near there. So, hey, why not get in trouble together? It's fine. They'll see Connie one last time. However, it takes no time at all for them to figure it out that Connie is dead. She has been stabbed in the heart by this weird flower thing. I'm sure there's something more to it. Or maybe they killed her and then just stuck the flower in there, whatever. But they find her in the back of a truck, kind of floating in this, like, just, like, they keep the truck, whatever the bad guys of this series are, they're keeping these kids in like kind of a tarp truck with water filled up into it, and then they just keep them in there until they're ready for them. And so they find Connie dead, and that freaks them out because they're like 11 years old, and that's traumatic for even an adult. So for them to be able to keep calm and cool under that kind of situation is nuts. Tops off to them. So then they end up needing to hide because somebody hears them, and it ends up being Mom. And this is what blows my mind. Giant, like, creature things that, like, they have, like, weird you know what they almost look like, without overstepping boundaries here too much, they kind of look like hollows from Bleach to a certain degree. But they're these giant black robed things anyways, with long fingernails and fingers, and they got these, like, I don't know whether it's their actual faces or whether they're just like masks or something like that, but they've got like weird appendages and whatever, and they come out and they're like, oh, what's going on? And Emma and Norman are underneath the truck trying to hide, and then at one point they place Connie inside this giant capsule thing with a bunch of liquid, and it turns out that the orphanage is actually a farm where these kids are being raised, and they are being sold off to only God knows these monsters, or maybe I don't know, God forbid, humans. But they're being sold off as basically food for these monsters or whatever's going on outside. The monsters almost catch Emma and Norman, and they end up getting out of there, but they end up leaving the bunny rabbit, and that's like, that sends Mom, or again, I think it's Isabella or something like that. I'm just gonna call her Mom. That ends up sending Mom into like this, like, oh fudge. I'm not gonna say the F word, but that's what I said. That she realizes that somebody followed them. She doesn't know who. Like, that's like kind of the crux of the next episode or so, that she doesn't know who followed. She knows somebody was there though. She knows somebody figured it out. Somebody found out, and that's not good. So the episode kind of ends in a, like, I want to say the episode ends with Emma and Norman running all the way back to the house, and basically having mental breakdowns. And Mom basically, like, looking at the bunny rabbit with, like, a very scary face on. Like, she's like, oh, grrr. And that's how the first episode ends. So that's, like, bombshell going off there. Whatever. Second episode is basically sort of a, it's Emma and Norman basically trying to plan an escape. One, they want to get themselves out. Two, they decide that, hey, you know what? Let's try to get everybody out. Norman knows that's not super realistic, but he kind of humors Emma a little bit. And they both cross the fencing, which was never, like, when you think of fencing, you're thinking of, like, at least chain link fence, kind of like a backyard, or maybe like schools have, just kind of like to be there. But this is like a weird bar thing that's just low enough that kids could just basically climb over. Like, not even climb over, just hop over. And they realize, well, this isn't keeping anybody in or out, so something's got to be over there. So they hop over, and they find a big, like, concrete wall, and presumably it's in a barrier, like it's in a circle or something like that. And it's at least, like, I think Emma said there was like 3 meters long or something, or like thick. And so they're not going to be able to just, like, hop over and whatever. So they think of a huge plan to maybe just make a rope or something and hop over and whatever. They end up having some scary moments with Mom inside the house because they realize, one, they are being tracked. So that's in the first episode, and even in the second episode, you see Mom looking at this, like, what is presumed to be a watch, but in reality, it turns out that it's probably a tracker, and they all have something in their bodies that are letting Mom know where they are at all times, well, or whenever she looks at that watch thing. So that's something that they got to figure out. That's another hitch in the plan of running away, because even if they run away, if they don't get far enough, then she could come after them. She could send the monsters after them, whatever. So yeah, so the entire episode, the second episode, is basically some, like, sneaky covert stuff with Emma and Norman, and then they end up getting Ray on board because, of course, they're the three main characters, and they end up trying to figure out what's going on, but while at the same time acting normal. Because if Mom knows that it was them at the gate, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Not just like normal trouble. They will be in trouble. And it turns out, so one extra thing that helps decide who goes out to get eaten, basically, and who stays at the house is age, and it also depends on how well you do. So if you do well in school, and like their like classes or whatever, which are these weird like barcode things, then the longer you stay, and presumably it means that like the monsters are going to eat their brains or something like that, or they're looking for high grade meat or something. And the smarter you are, the bigger the brain, the more fold, whatever. So they want to let them kind of grow and become better. So that's why like Emma and Ray and Norman are all almost 12, because that's the highest amount that they'll let them stay in the orphanage. But it also means that they've had a lot of time to learn and grow, and that means that they're higher quality. Whereas somebody that's like a younger kid that maybe doesn't do super well but is fine will be shipped out a little earlier. Like Connie, I think, was 6 or something, and that's like normal quality because it's just whatever. It's a kid, which is really, really gross. I like crazy. I didn't think anything was going to be like this in this series. I am looking forward to it though. Anyways, the end of the second episode is a new woman. I forget what her name was, but she's going to be helping Mom help around the house and help the kids. And she's got kind of a menacing face of her own. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I am so surprised that I actually really enjoyed what I watched. I honestly thought that it would be like something that's just kind of mundane and like kind of boring or whatever. Maybe people really liked it, but it was more like whatever. I wasn't ready for that, for that kind of series anyways. This, I am super ready. I'm on board all the way. I'm sorry I waited this long. There's 12 episodes apparently to this anime series. I don't know whether they'll extend it because I can't imagine that everything from the manga is going to fit into 12 episodes comfortably. Because it's been going on for a couple of years at least. But we'll see. I'm super excited to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about The Promised Neverland. I'm sure maybe you're probably going to be like, yes, it's great. If you do think that, let me know down in the comments below either way. If you enjoyed this video also, remember to leave a like and remember to subscribe and ring the bell so that you can get all my future videos and notifications, whatnot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you guys in another one. Bye-bye.